So we had James. He one of his questions was regarding the simple things you cherish so much more now. You know, practicing mindfulness is difficult at the best of times, but has this experience made you good at reflecting or better at reflecting?
Yes, I would have to say yes, James. I wake up in the morning and I think as humans, our mind starts racing the minute we open our eyes. And I always go, okay, three things I'm grateful for. And I say that every morning. I've got this love for nature now, like passionately love sunsets, passionately love walking along the lake. And I'll just, stare and go, wow, this is amazing. How beautiful is this? How lucky am I? So, yeah, definitely. I can't remember doing that before, except that day, that
Gratitude.
very first day that I was driving along Wakehurst Parkway and practicing gratitude. But it's certainly gone on from there, and I try to do that every day. And yeah, I do love the little simple things, definitely.
I think I kind of do it when times are tough. I find I journal or reflect. It's a lot easier for me to do when things are difficult. I think when things are good, you try to kind of take things for granted a little bit more. So, but it's a really good message for all of us to stop and think about what we have in our lives and what we're grateful for. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Not what we want in the future, what we're grateful for now.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
so you say not what's on the bucket list, but what's already in your bucket. You know what you've got
yeah,
around you, what your people, your in your clan or your village, as Gus talked
exactly.
about.
Yeah.
Jess said, "Do you feel like the experiences actually made you like less patient with people because you don't sweat all the petty stuff, which most society who hasn't experienced what you've been through? So, like, do you find? And this is a really good question, I think, because it's almost like you don't have any less respect for people, but you've just been through the ringer and you know what tough circumstances are. And then when people are complaining about little things, how do you approach that kind of conversation with someone?
Yeah, it's interesting, good question. Because, I was on a podcast recently and I was like, what's your problem from 1 to 10? Like, really, in the big scheme of things? Is it a two? Is it a nine? Is it you know, but I do think it in my head a lot. I think get a real problem, but I think it's to invalidate somebody's problem doesn't really win you any friends. So yeah, I try to be quite patient with that because I think, okay, they don't know what it's really like to, they've
Yeah.
they've not been through what I've been through, so they think that problem. And look, on the odd occasion, I will maybe have a little snide remark or, but yeah, you're impatient with it, but you got to be careful
Yeah. It
of
would
it.
be hard when people don't know you or what you've been through, but I think you've got to be careful to remember that everyone's problems are kind of relative to their own experiences. So,
That's
like for
it.
you, something might seem minor, but for someone who hasn't been through it, it can seem like a
Exactly.
deal. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Michael, when are you getting back into competitive touch football? Was structured exercise ever a component of your rehabilitation phase?
Yeah. So, Michael, I'm 61 now, and
Michael's an exercise physiologist, by the way, so that I think that question's geared towards
yeah. Okay. So, with the touch football, yeah, I haven't actually played competitive touch for about 4 years, only because I'm just a little bit mindful of keeping my body. I don't want to, start injuring myself too much. But when I was going through what I was going through, I literally would go to chemotherapy and go and play touch afterwards. It was, and I just loved it. And I think it really helped. And also, I flew back from Portland unbeknownst to the doctors, to play for New South Wales when I was going through my treatment.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow, you really are a superwoman.
And look, I got a message from the coach that said, we want you to play, probably not thinking that I'd go, okay. I wasn't really allowed to come home during that trial, but I would in between like the 2 weeks to see my girls. I did that a couple of times. So one day I came home and played for New South Wales over a weekend and then flew back. So I feel that exercise, and I used to run when I was in Portland all the time. So exercise was huge, and exercise was huge when I was first diagnosed and going through chemo and all that sort of stuff. I lived near a park. You would know what I mean when I say Rat Park.
Yeah.
I backed onto Rat Park and I used to just run, and I had a mantra and I would sing my mantra every day.
What was the mantra?
I am happy and healthy. All my organs have healed. My body and its organs have healed. I have faith in life.
Wow.
That was it.
Very good.
Yeah.
You still use that today?
I do. I do sometimes. It's more like remembering it than anything else, because I have healed. And at the end of my book, that's kind of the last thing I write, because that mantra then became my reality. When I started the mantra, I had tumours all over my body, so I wasn't happy and healthy, but that's the way I ended up.
And so, Dave Mizrahi, one of the previous guests on the podcast, he's a doctor from, well, at the time was working at UNSW. I think now he's at Sydney University, but he works in children's oncology, and he's an exercise physiologist. And it was really intriguing to listen to some of his experiences overseas, working, with children with cancer. And I guess talking to you now and then talking to his own experiences and how different that is for, young children going through cancer with conditions like leukemia and so forth, and then talking to someone like yourself. And I think, people like him, but also, as we talked about, the other professors and doctors that you've worked with, it's really, really important research. And aside from all the drugs too, we're now knowing exercise is really effective. Physical form of medication, exercise is medicine in the context of helping people with cancer, regain their energy levels, good, strong quality of life, maintain their cardiovascular function and their nerve function and their balance and coordination. So really, really, again, another pertinent message